Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap The Quad Season 2, Episode 1, which was titled In Love and Trouble. So I am so happy that this show is back because it is one of the few shows that BET has attempted that has turned out to be well written. The acting is really good. The storyline is great. So I'm just happy that it's back. So the show opens. They're doing like a spring fling or some type of thing that they do on historically black college campuses. I can recall when my daughter was at Grambling, them doing something like this, where the band comes out, the fraternities and sororities are out there stepping and stuff, and then they have like performances. And so on the stage was Cedric. And remember, Cedric was the kid that came from Chicago because his mom was trying to get him away from the gang violence. And so he does like a little rap performance, and it was really, really, really good. I have to give him credit. I'm not sure, I kind of tuned in a minute or two late, so I missed who the actual rapper was that he had gone up on the stage to perform with, but I'm sure it probably was somebody famous, but since I don't follow rap, it just didn't resonate with me. So at the event, Noni comes up with the band and she gives this speech calling on the students to take a stand against the administration because they've learned that Eva has been meeting with the head of the University of Georgia's system and that they're trying to take over the school. So they want to make sure that the kids are aware of what's going on and that this does not take place. And if you're familiar with how the school systems work, HBCUs are failing financially miserably because you have states where they're just not getting the funding, people are not supporting the schools, and then you have states where they're going through, like especially Republican led states that have Republican governors, they cut funding and they don't care that you're this tiny institution that's barely making it. So if they say they're going to cut 25% from each college budget, the money that they're giving to them, it doesn't matter if you're already struggling or if you're this big grand university. It's 25% at every college that's under the state's school system. And so it really negatively impacts the HBCUs the worst because they're already, when I took my daughter to Grambling, I used to hear all this great stuff about Grambling, and when we got there, I was like, can I leave my baby here? Because she went to school on a tennis scholarship. The tennis courts were horrible. The weight rooms, like nothing was really, really up to par. But Grambling, they've gone through some stuff in the past couple of years and they've gotten some funding. So they've been able to improve some things. But just taking it from, and I think I mentioned this in one of my videos when I first started doing these about how my oldest daughter went to, a predominantly, well, she went to a very diverse school. She went to Florida International University down in Miami, and it was just a big culture shock, between the two schools as far as technology, the programs, housing, everything was just totally, totally different. But she made it through and she got her degree, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. So back to the recap. The college, has to settle with Terrence's family. Remember, Terrence was a boy that was accused of raping Eva's daughter and a couple of other students, and he committed suicide on the season finale of season 1. And so Eva's in the meeting, and it was Eva, the guy that doesn't like her with the little afro. I know it's been a while, guy, and I should look these names up. and then the family and the school attorney and the family's attorney. And so Eva's rolling her eyes. She's looking out the window trying to figure out what's going on with the kids outside. And then she's kind of like just being very disruptive and dismissive of the family. And she was like, are we done here? So the family looking at her like, are you crazy? So the mom reaches over and she whispers something in the attorney's ear. So we find out that they're going to agree to this settlement, which we don't know what the amount is. But they also want Eva to make a public apology for accusing their son of rape and just the whole way that she handled the situation. And so after the meeting, they go into Eva's office and they're trying to talk to her and tell her, you upset these people, you offended them. And Eva was like, I didn't do anything. And so the Pettigrew, I think is his name, he was like, well, yeah, I was kind of sensing your negative vibe. You weren't being positive, and, you owe the people an apology. So then Eva calls out to her secretary and telling her to come in. So she's like, what was going on out there in the courtyard? And she said, oh, we'll talk about that later. Well, no, I won't talk about it now. So the girl tell her, well, they found out that you've been talking to the people over there at the University of Georgia, and they upset about it. So now everybody looking in the room like, you've been doing what? So I was like, Eva, look like you're going to be worse off this year than you was last year, because by the end of last season, I really was not liking Eva Fletcher at all. So then we go over to Sydney. So Sydney, she was the one that was raped by Terrence, and so they're in a counseling session. And actually when the show first opened up, it was like a kickboxing class, and it was Sydney and this white lady, and they were like really in this it was like intense session. And so we find out that that was part of her therapy, but it was her, Eva, and the therapist. And so Sydney lets them know that she wants to cancel counseling because she feels that she has been healed, and that journaling has been more beneficial to her than coming to these sessions and being fake with her mama and this woman. So Eva is like, well, how do you know that journaling is working for you? So Sydney pulled out the journal, and then she reads an excerpt that she's written. And she was like, and the fact that I can now look at that fake smile that you always put on and not be turned off or upset about it lets me know that the journaling is working, and I don't need to come back to these counseling sessions. So the counselor, she was like, well, she was okay with it, long as Sydney was okay with it. But then she tells Eva, but if you want to continue coming to counseling, I can continue to see you, because I think she realizes that a big part of Sydney's problems is Eva. But Eva was like, absolutely not. I won't be coming back in here. I was only in here because she was in here. So we'll see how that works out. Then we go over to the locker room with the football players, and they won the championship last year, so they finally got the trophy, and they're admiring the fact that all of their names are on these little metal plates engraved on the trophy. And so they find out that the coach is actually the one that put everybody's name on it. And so the white guy, what's his name, Bojan, he has like taken the leadership role since Terrence is gone, and he's hoorahing the team and getting them all pepped up. But when they go through all the names, they realize that Terrence's name isn't there, and they want to know, well, why isn't Terrence's name on here? Because he helped get us to the championship. But Bojan kind of overlooks what they're saying, and he keeps talking and trying to pep them up, and you could tell that there was a couple of guys that really didn't appreciate that. So we're going to see if that causes like some tension, for this season with the team. And then we also find out later on that Junior, who's the big guy, the little lovable Junior that everybody likes, we find out that he hasn't been checking his grades. So he doesn't know that he has dropped below a 2.0, and now he has been suspended from the team. And so he's all upset, and he wants the coach to do something about it. And the coach said, all I can do about it is send you to a tutor so you can get your grades back up. But it's in the spring, so he has, unless he's on academic probation and every other kind of probation, he should be able to get he can't practice with the team, but he should be able to get his grades back up and save his scholarship. So back to Cedric. So Cedric, remember, he had sex with the little girl last season and took a little virginity away from her. So now she all in love, and then moved out her studio apartment with her other little friends and wants to move into the dorm. And so she is partnered with Noni, the girl from the band. So Noni thought she had that room all to herself when the girl showed up. She was like, what you doing here? And the girl said, well, I was on a waiting list. No, Noni, I think the person Noni was supposed to be in the room with didn't come back to school, so she thought she was going to have the room to herself. But then the girl come and said, well, I was on the waiting list, and this room they done assigned me to. So Cedric's there, he's helping her move into the room. So I think it's just been too much togetherness. And now that she's on that college campus and in the dorm room, there's really, really going to be a lot of togetherness. So he's over her, and she comes to the room, to Cedric's room, to see him, and Cedric is telling his roommate, tell her I ain't here, tell her I ain't here. So he hiding, and the boy like, I don't want to get involved with this man. He's like, man, just do it for me. So the roommate goes and tells the girl, well, he ain't here right now. But the girl know he's lying, because when he closed the door, like he was blocking the door, didn't invite her to come in and wait, didn't offer up where Cedric was. So now she's sitting there like, well, what's going on? So he closed the door, and she gonna listen to the door, and then she hears them talking and knows that Cedric is in the room. So now she upset and all in her feelings. So then we hear another knock at the door. We're thinking, oh my gosh, she finna read him. But when Cedric opens the door, it's actually a fraternity. So we find out that the roommate is getting ready to pledge a fraternity. And this was straight out of, what was that movie with Nick Cannon? Was it Drumline? Drumline or Drumline 2, where the boy was pledging and he was being all secretive and wouldn't let nobody know what was going on. Probably going to be some hazing going on and all of that. So that was that situation. They took the roommate on. They had on the black hoods and everything. And so Cedric standing like, well, what kind of foolishness is this? But we know it's going to bring some drama later on. So then Sydney's roommate, and guys, I promise by next week I will have gone back and got everybody's name. But the white girl, that was Sydney's roommate and close friend, her boyfriend, remember he was a student over at the University of Georgia, but we never see the boy. And we started thinking, at least I was starting to think he was the rapist on campus. Like maybe it wasn't Terrence, maybe it was her boyfriend. And I was really shocked to find out that her boyfriend was white. I just knew when we finally saw him that it was going to be a black guy. But no, he's a white guy, and he comes in, he get the punani, and then after he get the punani, he tell her he don't want to see her no more. So she's all upset and devastated, and when Sydney comes in, Sydney's like, oh no, we're going to take care of this situation right here. And we get the Jasmine Sullivan in the background, bust the windows out your car. So they go through this parking lot and find this car, and they got the baseball bats and everything. They done bust out all the board windows, done kick the mirrors off the door, done hit the car with baseball bats, and then I think the fools left the bats. And I was just like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? And then do we even know that it was the right car that they done attacked? And I was like, I don't know. I know GAMU was supposed to be like a fictional school, but it seems to be set in Atlanta. But the University of Georgia is not in Atlanta. It's in, I think it's Athens, Georgia, and it's sort of like I think almost like an hour drive away. So I don't know how Sydney and this girl then got all the way to the University of Georgia and then out there in the parking lot. And maybe the boy was in Atlanta at the time they found the car, because y'all know when I'm trying to write the notes down, I be missing stuff. So if you know, leave the comments below and let me know whether he was back at the University of Georgia or if he was like staying at a hotel or attending something near their campus. And that is where they found the car at. So after they get through demolishing the boy car, they decided they was going to throw a party up in their dorm room, all girls. They drinking and partying. They were playing some Salt and Pepper and Rihanna and a couple of people up in there. They were having a good time. And Cedric's girlfriend in there, knowing that she is a goody two-shoe and don't be drinking and getting high and all that stuff. But she trying to hang with the girls to drown out her sorrows. And they're encouraging her, telling her that men ain't crap and don't be putting her life on hold for Cedric. And in the meantime, Cedric is like, okay, this girl ain't returning my phone calls. She ain't at a dorm. What's going on? So Cedric shows up at the party. He walk on in. They open the door. He just walk on in, grab her, and pull on up out of there. like she was his property, or he was the daddy and she was the child. And so he was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you hanging with these girls? What's going on? And so then she finally tells him, I know that you were in your room. And then rather than Cedric just apologize and tell the little girl that, it's just too much togetherness going on, he tries to lie and deny that he was in the room. And then he tells her to come on. And she's like, I'm not going with you until you tell me why you lied. And of course, he got all up in his feelings and walked on off. So, can I just tell y'all that I am over the battle of the sexes right now, where women, like, I understand women wanting to feel empowered and whatever, but I don't think that you feeling empowered has to lower somebody else. And I am really sick and tired of turning on the TV. I'm just like over it. I am so over. I'm over it all. I'm over it all. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I'm gonna do a video later on about the whole Sierra and how people coming for Sierra because she liked this video that Pastor John Gray had put out. But it's like, can we all just have a day where everybody just exhale and stop with the battering and feeling like the positioning, because it's just getting crazy. And I can just tell by that whole setup with Cedric and the girlfriend that Sydney and the other girls are going to be trying to tell her that she don't need a man and she don't need to be answering to him and she don't need to be, which, I mean, they're not married, but they're just, the hard lines are getting too hard, and it's kind of like working my nerves. Then we go over to Dr. Cecil Diamond. Remember, he's the band director. And so he finished his chemo and he's waiting now. I think it's going to take like a month or something before he finds out, if it got rid of, was it cancer that he had, or the tumor, if it got rid of the tumor or whatever was going on with him. So him and his sister Cynthia, they're out to dinner and having like a pre-celebration because the chemo is over, when the want to call the guy Rico. I can't remember his name is Rico, or if he was Rico on another show, but remember he was the guy that ended the show at the end of last season, and he's a band director for another college, and he was trying to get the sheet music. He found out that Dr. Diamond had this original score that he had been working on for his sister, and so he got Noni to steal the music and give it to him. So he walks in, Dr. Cecil jump up and, get all up in the guy's face. They end up fighting in the restaurant. It was like a 5-star restaurant. So the owner comes in and he tells Dr. Diamond, oh, we've taken care of your check and you guys can leave at any time. And so when he was getting ready to leave, the other guy lets him know that it wasn't because remember, he got rid of the drum major and thought that the drum major was the one that had sold the information. And so he lets him know that it wasn't that guy, that it was actually Noni that had given him the sheet music. So he goes back to school and calls Noni in, and he gives her the opportunity to come clean and admit what she had done. But Noni was like, let bygones be bygones, learn from your mistakes, and I can't remember that boy's name, but steady trying to blame him for what she had done. And so that really pissed Dr. Diamond off. Like, here, I'm giving you the opportunity to come clean and you still won't do it. And then later on, he gets the band together and they're in the band room and he's talking to him like, last year wasn't a good year for us. We had some obstacles we had to overcome. He said, but this is a brand new day. We're going to get back on top of our game. We're going to let the past be the past. He says, but in order for us to do that, we can't have liars and snakes amongst us. He says, so what I need to do is get rid of, the snake in the group. And so he go over to Noni and tell Noni to get out. And Noni was like, what is you talking about? And it was like Dr. Diamond had been turned into a whole nother person. And he was like basically telling Noni that she was, a spy. She was despicable. She was a liar. And he can't have people like that around him, and that she's no longer in the band and she needs to get out. And Noni was like just sitting there. He snatched that horn out of her hand, threw it down in the case, kicked the case out the door, and then told Noni she need to get on up and follow that case, and kicked her out the band. And everybody was sitting there like, oh Lord, what just happened? But we saw in the upcoming episodes that Noni don't give up that quick. She's still gonna be begging for her spot, but she ran out of there crying, all upset, like, okay, now I got to come up with another dang on plan to get back in this band. And I'm like, girl, you've had about 3-4 chances and you keep ruining all of them. So let's see. Then we had a scene with Eva where she goes to meet the guy from the University of Georgia and accuses him of leaking the information about their meetings, because she said that their meetings were supposed to be confidential and nobody was supposed to know about it. And the guy was like, I ain't got time for all that. Like, at the end of the day, GAMU is struggling. Your doors are about to close. And after you pay off that settlement to Terrence's family, you really, really don't have a leg to stand on. And it seems like the whole deal is based around GAMU's engineering program, that I guess they have like a state-of-the-art program, and Georgia must be lagging in that area. So they're really trying to merge those two programs. But Eva being Eva, saying that she ain't signing no agreement, she ain't doing it, and that, because she can't trust them, then everything is, it's a done deal. Don't come at her no more about it. So Eva is so overwhelmed by all the events of the day, with the meeting with the lawyers, them wanting her to apologize, and everything else that's going on. The whole University of Georgia, what's she gonna do with the finances? How's she gonna keep the doors open? So she goes to see Jason. Now remember, her and Jason, she was so nasty and rude to Jason last year that he done told her to get on down the road. So she goes to his apartment. Jason done redecorated. He got a fresh new start. And she comes sauntering in that thing. She about to get the goody goodies. But Jason was like, why you here? You told me to get on down the road. I thought about it. You was right. He said, as a matter of fact, I'm going to finish out the semester here, and then I've already secured a fellowship back home at Wheaton College or wherever they came from, and I'm done. I'm going to be out of your life forever. You ain't got to worry about me no more. So she was sitting there looking like, oh, you got a fellowship? Oh, you leaving? Oh, you over me? Oh, you don't want none of this goodness anymore? But Jason was like, anything else you want? So she said, oh, well, he said, I didn't want to hear, get on out. So he kicked out and slammed the door. And I'm sitting there like, Jason, you told her a little bit too much, because I think the person that gave him the fellowship is the doctor friend of Eva's that had came when they did the fundraising. And so Eva probably going to try and mess that up, because she don't like to be told no. And then Jason crazy because he trying to get his doctorate degree in psychology. So the two of them, we know we're going to get some drama this year from them. And so after she leaves there, she's talking to Sydney and, making sure Sydney's okay about canceling the counseling. And tells Sydney that she's really upset, that the family wants her to apologize. And why does she have to apologize to the person that, for being upset and vocal about Terrence, and the fact that, he hadn't raped her and all these other girls, and she wasn't going to do it. But then Sydney told her, it comes a point that if being right is keeping you from healing and moving on, then just go ahead and humble yourself, make the apology so that you can release yourself of that burden. And so she looking at Sydney like, are you sure? And then Sydney was like, yeah, go ahead and apologize so we can move on from this. But Eva still don't look like she's ready to apologize. And so the show ends with Sydney walking across campus, and then the camera zooms in on Jason, and he's like leaning up against a building looking at Sydney. So I said, let me find out Jason about to go after Sydney to get at Eva. So look like the new season is going to pick up where it left off. It's going to be a good show, and they're going to take us on a roller coaster ride. So guys, did you watch the season premiere of The Quad? If so, what did you think about it? Leave your comments below if there's anything that I missed. Leave that in the comments as well. Rate the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.